Diane, you're muted.
I'm muted.
There you are. Now you're not.
Don't. Whoop, we're live.
That's what my phone says.
Oh, my phones start going off in here. I've got 3 different ones that's got Facebook on it.
So David might not come?
Well, no, I sent him the invite. He asked me late last night, like really late last night, for the link. So I sent it to him. So I'm assuming he's looking.
If you whatever you sent this morning didn't have the.
I know. Brian just told me. All I did is forwarded it. I forwarded the link and it didn't come through. So I just copied and pasted it and sent it to Joe and David. So, and I saw Eric resend it to Jean last night. So he should have it. Anybody else, I gave it to a couple other people if they wanted to log in at any point in time, or told them it would be live streamed so they could watch it on there. So I'm not really expecting anybody else other than Joe and David and Jean. Okay. And Eric is on here if you don't see him.
Yeah.
He is deciding 8 a.m. is too early to show his house.
Well, we may be muting here shortly.
Yeah.
All right, well,
my stuff.
I guess we can go ahead. Then I've got, do you want me to show my screen with the Word doc, or do you just want me to go through it?
David's actually here too. It doesn't matter. Whatever's easiest. I mean, you can read off of it. It doesn't.
Did you email it out to us, Diane?
I don't know if it's helpful to share. I'm fine with sharing screen.
Go for it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And at least and Jean's here now. So the only person we're missing is Joe.
There we go.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
wow. This is
Up and running.
And there's David. We're on here.
Wow. All right, hold on a second. I'm
You're fine.
mucking around with trying to get the right view here.
And Diane, did you email us the agenda as well? Because I have a secondary computer I can pull that up on and look at.
I will. I mean, it seems like people, I'm fine with doing that as well. I just, it seems like people don't look at it. So it's kind of, are we sharing? Okay, so we're not sharing right now, right? Share.
Nope.
No, not yet.
We're just regular.
Okay, now we are, right?
Hey, there we're sharing.
Okay. All righty. So, review agenda is the first item on there. So we have we've got 2 that are final reading, and no one's had a problem with those 2. So I'm sure we're fine with that. We have new legislation. We have what Kim sent, if you had a chance to look at that or not. It's the water, it's the moving the money from the one account to the other account so that we can do the sewer work. Is everybody familiar with that now? We've been talking about it for a little while. It's an appropriations move where we've been collecting water fees, and we're going to take that money that's been sitting in there because we don't have problems with the water main right now. They're fairly new, and we're moving that money to the sewer account. I think it's storm sewer, right?
We're moving money from the water fund to the storm sewer.
Storm sewer, right? Okay. So that we can work on the storm sewer project. So that is what that resolution is about. No questions on that one. And the other one is that one though, the Kim was looking for, let me pull that up. So that one is, she recommends 3 readings, May 11, 18, and June 8, but passing as an emergency so that we can get the bid information out and move along smartly. Anyone have an objection to passing it as an emergency? Because it will be, but again, it'll be May 18th. If we don't, it'll be it will be into July if we wait the 30 days and get, then put the bid out. It'll push it out quite a bit.
Let's fix some sewers.
Okay. No other objections. Then the other one is a resolution requesting, this is the resolution requesting the 4.1 mil levy be put on the ballot. It's the first resolution that we need here. And if we go down to administration here, we have that on, that's our list of to-dos, the updates ballot issue November ballot. And so we are actually a little ahead of schedule. So
No, we're actually not.
we're behind schedule.
Yes, so it was my understanding that we had the certificate already from January. But that actually can't happen. There's legislation you had to do to get the certificate in order to be able to get it. There was a step that was missed and it wasn't done in January. So, and I think we all know why, so it is what it is. Well, now there's legislation sitting in front of us that we do have to read, pass, so we can start reading it in June to get it put on the ballot. So yes, we have talked about it, but unfortunately, again, we know what the case is. We're moving on, but there was a step missed, and we were under the impression that we already had the certificate. This is just legislation to get the certificate so we can get it put on the ballot. So you guys are going to have 3 more readings putting it on the ballot after we get the certificate. Those readings are going to start later.
So is this one that we're trying to pass as a?
Yes, this
We're
is the
waiving?
one. Yes, because if we actually want the 3 readings to get it put on there, we have to do one of them we have to do as an emergency. And this is the one to do it because we want to get the certificate from Franklin County with everybody being not working as much and all of that. So we want to be able to get this information.
Yeah, the second one does not need to be an emergency because it
No.
goes on the ballot anyway.
Yeah.
The
Right.
first one just asked if we put this many mills on the ballot, here's how much money it generates.
Correct.
We asked them that figure.
Yeah, as much as I hate, as much as I hate emergencies, the fact that there will be ample opportunity to vote for it makes me feel more comfortable about that course of action.
Correct. And then if you guys remember, finance did bring back up the small levy, and it was still in agreement with everybody that it just wasn't, especially with everything going on right now, it was not worth going after that one again as well. But we did revisit it. We did talk about it. And everybody agreed still just to let it go.
Let it lapse.
Would that be accurate, Diane?
Yeah, yes, that is accurate. That was in the finance meeting and we talked
Yes.
about that, right?
I
So,
want to speak for the finance chair in the finance, but
yep, that's it. So, all right, and that is, otherwise the agenda is a standard agenda. We might want to take the flag off again.
okay.
And that, otherwise it's a standard agenda. So, any other comments regarding the agenda for the council meeting on Monday?
Yes, I just have a quick update. So I erred on assuming that the P&Z approval for the Westerville Schools plan would go to council. This is generally a safe assumption, but as I prepared the legislation for first reading for council, I realized that the way your plan district code is read is that unless there's a major modification or an appeal of that decision, it does not go to council. So planning and zoning, after 2 hearings, approved Westerville Schools site for a final plan. And now they're going to be off to the races for bidding.
Yay. Let's get that school built.
Okay,
Well, it was approved with the there were questions that some people had. And, it was brought up, well, we can take care of this when it goes before council. So it's, it was
Those questions can
approved.
still be answered. They weren't, P&Z had a perfectly thorough review. There were no major modifications. They met all the code requirements. So if there
Well,
are.
would-
and I think it was
Go over
explained
with it.
properly to the planning and zoning code, because the real purpose of that meeting was to take a look at the plan and see if it conformed with our zoning codes. You know, it wasn't the place to say, hey, can you do this, that, and the other thing? You know, so
It conformed.
it was,
Yeah, I think I thought, yeah, I listened in on the last one and it certainly did. It was my impression that members thought that they could ask questions and perhaps influence decisions on permeable surfaces and where trees were going to be planted and things like that, which, you know, is
Well-
not obviously what it was for.
the problem is that, you know, if we want to start, you know, weighing in on what they're going to do at the schools, we have to first take a look at our zoning codes. And that's the process.
That's
Is
correct.
if we want to do, you know, permeable pavement, well, now's the time, or with the case of the school and the new development, as soon as they said they were putting a school in there, we should have been talking about our zoning codes that apply to schools.
But we
And,
didn't.
and I'm just as guilty as anyone for not having, you know, the foresight to, you know, bring that to planning and zoning's attention.
But we didn't, and I think it's two paths. I mean, the horse is out of the barn. I don't know that we can.
Well, but
Now
we have
stop.
another school coming
We
up.
have another
Right,
school
there's
and it's
a-
in a
there's
different
another
district and we
school.
can examine that.
Yeah.
We could certainly start that for the new one, but with this current one, we are stuck with,
Yeah, it's,
okay,
it is
everything
what
we
it
do
is.
is in code and there's nothing more. We can't force them to do stuff unless it's in violation of code. They
I mean,
own
this is just another one of my examples of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm just as guilty. Well, I'm not as concerned, you know, I feel that Westerville is going to put together a plan that's good, you know, but
Oh,
if
yeah.
some of the members of council want, or the Planning and Zoning Commission, you know, want to, you know, look into this, now's the time to do that. For the
My
future
only-
school.
My only issue was as you guys knew, I sent out an email to everybody, making sure that everybody got the newsletter ready because I was under the impression that we were going to have the 3 readings. Just if residents had any problems, questions, concerns, again, we all are aware that the school is coming. There are people that aren't aware that there's a school coming. I think we will all agree on that as well. I wanted to make sure that it was very transparent in the newsletter and everything. I understand it's not 1000% our responsibility to make sure that everybody in the new development knew it was coming. But that being said, that now takes away from us to be able just to make sure that we've really put it out there. You know, it's going to planning and zoning. It's going to council, you know, if residents did have a question, but it's done and over with. Now no one can, it's not going in the newsletter. And I'm sure that I will probably catch some flack on that. So, because this was about, we didn't put it out as that it was going through planning and zoning. We didn't really give residents, people say that there's been town halls. Again, there's a Westerville school coming. I get it. There has not, maybe 5 years ago with the MI development, when it first started, or 6 years ago, I was never a part of any of that. I never knew anything about that. When residents voted on the levy, there was never specific information. How many times have you guys heard what's going in the new development, what's going on the outside? There's not been actual plans for most people to understand. Yes, we understand because we're living it. But whether the middle school is going on the inside or most people have no idea. And it just would have been nice for us to get a little bit of information out there before this is actually completely done. And I am disappointed that we were not able to get any information out there because I was under the impression we still had basically 2 months. So I'm just throwing that out there so everybody knows I am disappointed that and I understand we can't have a town hall meeting right now. So, but I am disappointed that we couldn't have at least gotten it in the newsletter that it's past planning and zoning. Everything looks great, whatever. And again, everybody knows I want the school. But it would have been nice to get more information out there. And I think we're gonna see some people a little disappointed that we didn't give much information about the schools coming right now. That's it.
Would you like us to approach them about, it wouldn't be a formal review, but my guess is it's the schools and they probably want to keep on good relations with the village. And they may come just voluntarily and make a presentation to you.
Well, again, I don't know that we can even our
No,
hope was
I
for
mean-
June.
I know,
our
I
hope
mean,
really-
when you can have a large group meeting again. They
Well,
They would be willing to
Okay.
do that. They were looking forward to present, so.
Yeah, they'd be happy to do that.
I would
Western-
say at this point, I'm gonna leave it up to council, because I know most of the council people knew that there was going to be something coming to them. I mean, to me, it's done. I mean, I guess I'm gonna say that. To me, it's done.
Right, unless they
moving on.
voluntarily change something. I think.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's moved up, it's moving up the chain. I wish we would have had, and I'm saying we as council, myself, everybody, we would have had just a little bit more information out there than just a sentence on, I mean, again, I could have at least put it on Facebook, hey, final review for Westerville City Schools at Planning and Zoning, had I known it was the final review. We could have just done little things like that. Again, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we know how we know how people are with the transparency and making sure, again, a lot of people know there's a school coming. I'm not trying to, and again, there was a levy. So it's not like there's not been anything. I get that. It just would have been nice to be able to put the last little blurb right before the final
Well,
that
I
it was
think there's
being
been
approved.
plenty
So,
of-
and that's just me because of what's happened in the past. Maybe no one's going to say anything. But I would have liked to have had a little bit more out there had I
I'm
known.
going to respectfully disagree on that.
And that's fine.
I think, I'm not sure, I think you might have a point that we as the council haven't put out a lot about it. Westerville City Schools has had meetings after meeting, has been here, has been at Hawthorne, has pushed a
But
levy
not
through on
specific.
this. At this point, if you don't know about this, I think we've done, the information's out there, and I'm sorry we didn't show up at your house and hold your hand and talk you through it, but you needed to come out and ask and saying, well, I didn't know about this. At some point, it's like, well, I'm sorry that you're not keeping yourself informed.
Right.
But, you
And
know,
you can't, I'm not going to disagree. You can't, and even doing 3 more meetings would not have hit everybody. And we're all fully aware of that. Again, I would have liked to have been able to say, this is the last approval. Not going to disagree. I've known, you've
Well,
known.
we just received the final plans recently, so we're not,
Yeah,
if
2
you put
months.
it out now, we're not behind in sharing the information as we were given it.
mhm.
Becky has
We
everything
just
on.
now got the final plan just right before the last planning and zoning meeting.
Yep, and that's when they sent it. They were
Right.
Yes.
So I
out of the
mean,
gun
we
too.
have- we haven't been slow in providing the information. We just got it. I think the
We've-
misunderstanding is that, it's past the time for input. The time for input should have been back when the meetings that they had with the public, Westerville schools. That's the time for the input.
Mhm.
The problem with that is that was an overall, and they made a comment to that, and I'm not going to disagree, but that was an overall plan. It wasn't specific to Minerva Park and to the schools. It was, and I'm not talking about 5 years ago, but I was at the Hawthorne meeting. There were very few questions that specifically talked about the schools inside the neighborhoods. There was, the reason for safety, the reason for this, the reason for that. So it was just, I was there. So, and Diane was there. It was an overall Westerville bond meeting. It was not, we're putting 2 large schools in your neighborhood and there's no traffic lights at the end of any one of our streets or anything like that, like I continue to hear. It wasn't a specific to Minerva Park. It was a bond hearing or, an educational, a wonderful program that they put together to give people information. I mean, there, no doubt about it. There was a lot of information. They did talk about the schools, but there was never really anything specific to Minerva Park that there's an elementary school that's going to have 800 kids at it. Because again, that to me was a surprise recently that there was going to be that many kids at that one. But we can talk about this all day. All my point was, is it would have been nice just to have that extra little bit. And Tony, to your point, Eric had Becky put that online within days of receiving it. So it is there. It's been there. It's on our website.
So I would say any kind of complaints are unfounded.
Well,
Yeah, so-
I think that people just have a misconception. They feel like, and I think that we don't help that misconception, frankly. We're real vague about what we can say, what we can have influence on, what we can't. And so people think, well, they look at now that we have the school layout, what the colors are even and all that. I showed it to my husband, who said, well, it would have been nice if they had done this, just aesthetically. And he said, is there going to be a meeting about that? And I said, no, we don't have any say over it really. And he goes, oh, well, then never mind. don't show me anything else. If I can't have any opinion about it, then they might as well not show it to me, because that'll just upset me. So I mean, I think that's everybody wants to have control or power or something over something that's going to be in their neighborhood. Well, sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. But I think as far as participation, I would suggest that if we, you could put in the newsletter, we've had our meetings with the city of Westerville, and they've put together the picture and what they're going to do next and all that. And then ask the people, we would like to do an FAQ for you, for our residents. And so would you submit, since because of COVID, we can't have a big meeting right now, but can you send us your questions and we'll compile them in an FAQ, and then we'll mail it out to the residents, and at least get some questions answered, things that they want to know. That would be resident friendly to do. Just a suggestion.
Then maybe
That
we can
sounds
talk
nice.
about that, Diane, and maybe the communication committee communicating with the residents. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And see if we want to put something like that in the newsletter. So again, that was just my 2 cents. It is what it is. I know that there's 100 other things to talk about, but again,
You're
I'm
going to catch heck anyway, so don't worry about it.
yeah. I don't disagree. So it was just one of those things that I had already. Maybe it's because I already wrote out what I was going to put. Now I can't put it in there, so now I got to start over again. So
Okay, now we.
Okay, so all right, well then let's scroll down, and we'll try to hit, I think we'll probably hit most of the things as we review. So anyway, for streets, we had I think we
more.
on the I was asked to take a look at the trees that might be down on Minerva Lake Road at the Cleveland Avenue and Minerva Lake Road ravine area. And I did look at that. That's one of the trees, by the way, that fell down that we had a power outage last week for 6-7 hours. Was one of the trees in someone's backyard that faces the ravine, fell on a power line, and it took about 7 hours for them to do it, because all the trees along the ravine, they're just really tricky to do because you can't get big trucks back there. You have to have people climbing trees and using ropes and trying not to fall on something. So that was one of them. But that whole ravine area, there are a lot of dead trees, and they're not just ash trees. I was astounded how many dead trees are standing up in that area. But as far as the one that's leaning over Cleveland Avenue, it's leaning over like many trees do. I don't think there's anything. I mean, Minerva Lake Road, I don't think there's anything special about that tree. But if you were to say, I want to get out every dead tree in that ravine, I'm guesstimating that it would be several $1,000s, maybe $4,000 to get someone out to do all that tree work. But it's something that that area actually could look kind of nice if it were cleaned up. But again, we're not looking for projects right now, a way to spend our money. But so I would say we're probably going to have some more trees falling, and hopefully they'll fall into the ravine and not on the lines at this point.
Well, I think that would go along with the community committee in talking about, improvements on Cleveland Avenue. Because like you had said, I think there's a lot of potential in that area, where the ravine's at, to, clean that up and make something out of it. But, it's a priority thing. What do we want to work on first? So I think that's something that the community committee can talk about. I will report that I have found the Mary Yost 5-year plan. So
wonderful.
yeah, I can't get a hard copy, scanned, so I'll take it into the community building. Hopefully they can scan it and send it out to everyone.
That is wonderful. I appreciate that so much.
Okay. And then, so we talked about the sanitary sewer delay.
Hold on. You went too fast.
I did.
We got another hole in one of the ones on Elmhurst. Tony went over and looked at it. It's missing a few bricks as well.
Yeah, I'll be
So,
fixing that today or tomorrow. It's much easier than the last one.
okay. So, but if we need to do any concrete work or anything, I mean, there is an actual hole
Excuse me.
next to it. So, we'll see what
I
we
can
need to do. If
do
you
all-
can't,
I'll take care of all that. It'll be
I
done.
figured. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll send you an IOU.
Oh, you guys are gonna get a bill. Well, you're not gonna get a bill. You're just gonna hear about it from next year and a half.
We'll just pay you.
Yeah. Well, the last estimate was $4,000. So, and that one was done with what? $20?
$650.
There you go.
Okay, anything else on, sanitary sewers or Jasmine Market or,
Jean's been working with Ala and Eric's been working with Ala on Yasmin Market. I'm expecting an estimate from Flowline on Monday. We were hoping to have it Friday, but if he got too busy, they said it was going to be Monday. So we should have the estimate from Flowline to go out and do it. So as soon as I get that, I'll let you guys know. But I
When you
got
say
an
do it, you
update that
mean-
says you're getting it Monday.
When you say do it, you mean televising?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We haven't gotten the estimate from Flowline yet, but I do expect it Monday.
okay. Anything else on, streets?
No.
No, not that I can think of.
Okay, communication, any updates on, obviously you got the website?
Rolling right along. She's been getting some amazing pictures for it. She turned in the packet, and actually I went through the packet with her. It was pretty basic. I mean, the packet was it just asked some of the basic questions, what we're going to send over, what we're not going to send over, and all of that. But she has a meeting with them on, I think it's Tuesday. So I should have something before the communication committee, where we're at, what we're doing, but we are on target still. Everything's moving right along. And let me just say, she's super excited about it. So, but yeah, it's coming right along.
And then there was, now that the PEP audit, we're supposed to get a report, I thought.
All he has sent so far, and I actually had emailed him for that. They haven't sent us anything. The only thing that I did is I asked him for the list, and he sent me that, and I've not heard a word from him since.
Would you mind if I emailed him and asked him?
I don't care.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, that was the last communication I had with him was that.
all right.
What the list of all the equipment, that's what it is. And that was it.
Okay. Let's see, this one is about coronavirus, the next for Joe, and then discuss lawn care. We did that, and you're still waiting for, did that get done, or did we hit between the rainy days to?
If not all of it was done, most of it was done. That last post that I put on was going to be Wednesday night and Thursday night. I know the pool, I believe so. I believe it was done. I know the pool and stuff was done. They were kind of sending me updates, like what was done and what wasn't done, but I'm pretty sure it was done.
You know, when you got the estimate from the lawn service,
Yes.
on Joshua's list, it said pool area inside the fence only. But the outside of the fence looked like it was just as nice as to me, I can't believe they wouldn't have sprayed the outside of the fence
I
previously.
don't know if they usually do. I have no idea.
I mean, why did he pick just the inside? Is that what we asked for? I guess.
Yes, to keep
Yeah,
it under, to keep it affordable.
The amount of the money and the chemicals.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll be real on this.
I've never seen that. That's the few times I've been to the pool. I've never seen a weed outside the fence either. And that doesn't seem possible unless it's been sprayed.
Westerville might be spraying their portion of it. because Westerville land, of course, it butts right up to it.
Mhm.
No, well, not on the one, no, it doesn't, according to the
The other
mayor.
side.
According to the mayor on the west side is, on the west side of that fence is all in the behind is all Minerva Park.
Not me, the other one.
Anyway, I did, the person that was giving me a quote from the one service went quiet. And so I need to ask him if he's going to give me a bid on it or if he thinks it's too small. What's the problem? So, but I do have another person lined up to get a quote from, but I'd like to hear his feedback as to why he wouldn't want to bid on this job. But again, once I listed it out, it really is not, it's a bunch of small spaces. It's really the only large spaces around the pool. So, you know, maybe it's not a big enough job for some of these larger firms. I don't know. Okay. Anything else on, I know Joe's not here, anything else on communications?
We have a meeting Wednesday. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. Community.
So community wise, I have, or we had a meeting on the 5th or 6th, one of those days, where we have been starting, or where we agreed to get back in touch with the Ohio Department of Forestry and some other park districts for input and collaboration on the lake restoration. We established a date for a lake cleanup later in June. What else did we do? We fought about milkweed a lot. That was pretty cool.
Glad you feel that way.
Huh?
What
I'm glad
what
you
about
feel that way.
milkweed?
Ian, don't get it started.
Okay, all right.
30
yeah,
minutes of your
I'm-
life you'll never get back.
Yeah, you would have enjoyed the conversation.
But yeah, besides that, things are progressing about as well as they can. We also determined that we are not making any specific calls to the pool season as of yet, pending guidance from the Ohio Department of Health. Other than that, I'm waiting to hear back from forestry. Oh, I need to send forestry some other dates, and the other agencies I'm talking to have not as of yet responded. So once I get in touch with all the relevant parties, I'll be happy to report on what's happening next. So I'll give out as many public dates as there will be lake walks to figure out what a good course of action would be. I'd love as much community involvement as possible.
It seems like when it comes to the natural areas, we also have P&Z, a P&Z person or two who is also looking at stuff. Lisa happened to mention she had someone from the Elm Creek Group, which is FACTS, FACTS, walk around with her and talk about the creek area and gave some suggestions. So it just seems too bad that we're not working as an interest group on this. I think it would be helpful at some point.
What do you recommend as being, or what do you recommend, because I've only been doing this for a couple of months.
Well, I don't know if everyone is in agreement because everybody, I'm not sure everybody likes the idea of splitting it out, but it seems like having a natural area interest group or a subcommittee that could include residents like Lisa and Donna and other people who have an interest, like Adam, the guy who's doing the birdhouses. There'd be some, Nathan, maybe. There's some people who seem to have a lot of specific interest in detail, you know, because they have it's a hobby or a background, they have knowledge. So it's just an idea to have it be a subcommittee. And then so everybody is, information sharing is a little broader and.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's something we could address down the line.
Because Lisa sent out an email with the report from the guy from the Allen Creek Friends of the Tributaries.
I didn't get it, so she probably just sent it to the P and Z group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I received it either.
I'll forward that here later on.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty extensive. This guy has went through and I would say picked apart everything possible.
Well,
Could I get a copy as well, Tony?
What's
Yeah.
that?
Could I get a copy as well, Tony?
Yeah. I'll forward it to all the council.
Let me do it right now.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I think I can. Go ahead.
You're much quicker than that.
Right. I had a couple of years ago when the mayor had suggested I actually went to one of the meetings. There was just 5 people there, but yeah, they're very passionate, but they seemed more, not that they wouldn't be, they seemed more interested in bike paths along Allen Creek. And they do a lot of volunteer work and cleaning up. And I wasn't sure there was a really good fit unless we could get, because they do have some resources that we don't have. For example, they might be able to get canoes or boats into the water to help with cleanup, for example. Anyway, I just think that there might be more synergy with an interest group. So, all right, anything else on community?
Okay. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that'd be, a good thing to address as a community and a council as a whole, trying to get, possibly in touch with that group and seeing what we can figure out, work with them.
Well, I guess we'll read the report first and see what it.
Exactly.
Everybody should have it. I sent it to everybody. Okay, so now doesn't have to be the time that you guys talk about it, but then at the end, maybe we need to figure it out. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but late cleanup is not just late cleanup, hey, show up. We need to make sure that we're actually putting something together. We're down to 30 days. It's going to be advertised in the newsletter. But if you guys need help with administration, getting bags, getting how many dumpsters do you want? What kind of dumpsters do you want? What are you going to have people do? Do you guys want us to get donuts and bagels? Do you guys want coffee? I've never done a late cleanup. I've just heard, do we need chainsaws? Do we need rakes? Do we need, what's everybody going to do? So I'm not trying to be like, I guess I just don't want 10 people to show up or 50 people to show up and we go, okay, go pick up sticks with your hands. We need a plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tony, don't laugh at me.
Sorry, but
No, I think that I had just assumed if we were naming a date that we were going to have a plan because.
Oh, no, we just fixed a date. So that's all my question is.
We did the easy part. Okay. No,
Right.
really, if you're not going to have a plan, I'm perfectly happy to participate or to make sure, do whatever just to help facilitate. But you have to have a plan. And I've participated in a couple of these and I just wanted to shoot myself. They were just so terrible.
Well,
So-
that's right. That's what I want to know. And
I
same
think
thing,
that's why
I
we
need
have
to,
trouble people showing up because there's no plan.
Well, exactly right. Or what you're asked to do is so preposterous.
right.
Like the
So
one
I
time
keep
we were,
saying that we need to drain the lake before we do this.
Well, and that's 30 days. So is it something that and I don't want to, I have had a meeting every single night the last 2 weeks. So I'm not trying to do this to myself, but I'm trying to, do you guys want to do a community just straight lake cleanup thing for 30, 45 minutes to discuss what you guys are going to do, or an hour or 2 hours, however long it takes? Do you guys want to do it now? What do you guys want to do?
I just wish if we're gonna do a lake cleanup thing, I would like to talk to everybody who's been trying to clean up the lake, like, your maintenance guy and your maintenance people, and get their feedback about where, they're out there trying to pick up trash and move logs and do stuff now. What do they need help with, or where do they think we should? They're out seeing it. So what do they think is the best use of our time in terms of
I think
that?
there's so many, I'm just saying this, I think there's so many areas that need help.
Well, I don't know I don't know necessarily what makes sense or what tools we have. What tools are in the barn? What tools do we have?
We
how
really
many
don't have
trash
any
cans?
tools. We really don't.
We got a
They
chainsaw,
pick
at
up
least we did.
sticks.
But
They
we
pick
have
up-
people picking up trash, and generally when you ask people to pick up trash, I know I have a trash picker. If we don't have trash pickers,
We have 3, 1 for each of them.
okay, so then maybe they're not expensive, maybe $10 a piece at most. Maybe we can get a donation, but we should have more trash pickers if we want, so people are not picking up trash with their fingers.
Exactly.
And we should have some cheap gloves for people who don't bring their own gloves or can't, or disposable gloves. So, or just the cloth ones that you throw out when you're done, you don't wash them. Those kinds of things. We need to have those because, sometimes it's kind of rank what you're doing, and you just want to throw them out when you're done. And, that's the very least that we need to have. People, you may, depending on what you're doing, you may want. Last time I did it, I brought my wheelbarrow because I went there and I saw what they were doing with buckets in their hands, and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing. So I went back and got my industrial wheelbarrow, and but what they had us doing, they lowered the lake, by the way, just enough so that you can get in there and see the shore, a little more of the shore, and pick up trash along so they lowered the lake about 2 feet. And so what they were doing though was whatever leaves were laying against the shore on the mucky bottom, the mayor actually had us scooping those leaves up in buckets and hauling them up and throwing them into the dumpster. And to me, I felt like I was the Dutch boy with my finger in the dike, holding back all the water. What was the point of that? How much good did that do, really? I don't think it did much. But anyway, that's what I don't recommend we do that, because I think that's. But lowering the lake a little bit to see what other trash is up against the shore that maybe is just underwater is not a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't think that'll hurt anything.
Well,
Okay.
I'll go out there this weekend and see about lowering the lake.
Okay, so my quick, that's a great start of some of the things that Becky's going to need to order, but same thing. So I go back to the same thing. Do we want to spend the next 30 minutes talking about it right now, or do you guys want to pull together a date in the next?
I think this is something we can do through some emails, to be
That's
honest.
fine too. Don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I guess, and the other part to this is if you don't, you guys need to let me know so I can do it. I guess I just don't want to come up to June 12th and not have a plan.
Well,
Brian,
maybe I
you-
think we should talk about what we put in the advertisement for the lake cleanup, and maybe ask people to bring rakes and,
Exactly.
yeah.
That has always been, at least for the time I've been here in the village, the request that people bring their own tools has always been part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should get a couple stacks of lawn bags, ask people to bring a rake, say fill a lawn bag with leaves and debris, drop it on the shoreline, and get your free donut as a thank you. And then we can have maintenance drive around in their fancy little gator later and pick up the little bags, much like the way the 161 Elevate Northland Committee does trash pickup along the 161 corridor. Here's your, instead of picking things up and taking it to a dumpster, here's your yard bag. Rake up as much leaves and debris as you can. Any bit you can rake up helps. Fill a bag. If you want to fill another bag, great. If not, fill a bag. pull it, make sure it's
You
not.
gotta
in
get
the
a 2-bag
water.
minimum to get a donut.
I don't know that we, I would personally say, here's your bag. Once it's filled, you can get your donut, but we can probably just say, here's your bag and a donut. And then people can rake up some debris, some trash, put it in a yard bag, set it on the side, say, I filled that bag, I did my part. And then Chipper can go around afterwards, pick up all the bags and toss them into perhaps a dumpster that we rent if we think we're going to have that much. And perhaps a dumpster we rent from a yard waste sort of thing that it's going to go get mulched or what have you. I mean, I've never done one of these, so I don't know how they normally go. I know Brian's done quite a few of them, or at least one that I know of.
So
Believe
I,
it or
if,
not,
if,
we may still have the 10-person limitation on June 12th.
if,
Oh,
But
if I
that-
may,
I don't know that would apply to 10 people around the perimeter of our lake.
No, I'm saying just avoid a gathering, a group
Around the
gathering to
donuts?
kick it off, around the
Ah.
donuts, that type of thing, right? I totally agree. You could structure it so it's not, you're not gathering more than, and it may be 50 by that time, but just avoid, believe it or not, word to the wise.
Yeah. The way the state's racing to open things, I think we're probably going to be okay.
Right. I would agree. I think, again, we can send people over to some of the new areas.
Oh, yeah.
Wishful dreaming that you would have enough people to send over there. But I mean, you've got all of the other 3 as well that you could send people to that's got trash all the way around them. So there's plenty of stuff for us to, even just the walking path. If we wanted somebody to go pick up trash along the walking path, there's plenty of trash along the walking path. So it would be great if we could do, David, if you could put together like a little blurb for the newsletter.
I would be
Yes.
happy to.
That basically says, 8 to noon. We did, I think, Diane, was it you and I? I picked the rain date as the following Saturday, same time, same everything, just 2 weeks or just a week apart.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I didn't want to get into July getting too hot. So I did 2 Saturdays back to back. So the rain date is the same, is the very next week. And then just, kind of let them know what they're going to be doing, picking up trash, picking up leaves, whatever. Tell them to bring their rakes and whatever, all that stuff. And then I'll figure out what we need to order. We'll email back and forth and we'll figure out exactly what all you guys want us to order.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. If I may, I've worked with a few big river cleanups back in my hometown of Lima, and I know they did pretty similar things with the, you lay trash bag, you give trash bags out, you send people to different places, you put the bags on the side of the, pre-established like pickup route, and then you get your little treat, whatever it is, on the at the end. So I think seeing as we've pretty well independently figured that out, that must be the pretty commonly effective way to do it. So
And yes,
I think we're off to a good start.
And I think we definitely need more than the 3, little grabber arms. Once again, I'm going with just the few times years ago that the wife and I would volunteer to help out the 161 cleanup, and you'd show up and get your coffee and your donut. They'd hand you a trash bag. They'd hand you a little grabber arm, and you'd just start walking, picking up trash. And when your bag was full, you set it down. You either got a new bag or you returned your grabber and said, I filled a bag. I did my duty. Thanks.
All right. So yeah, I'll write up a little blurb and I'll get that. I'll do that after this meeting.
Yeah, and I will also say, though, they have, and, I might not be looking with as critical enough of an eye, but there's also already been Chipper's been doing a very good job. I think he likes driving around in his new little Gator. He has done quite a job pulling logs and this and that and whatnot out of especially the South Lake.
He shoves our 17-year-old there a little often too.
Mhm.
Well, he does other things. So yes, they've worked well together getting that done. So they've spent a lot of time over there.
As I've seen him, and I've seen that, South Lake Shore. And boy, there was a lot of debris and fallen logs floating in there for a while that are just gone now.
Excellent.
Luckily, the turtle logs are still out there in the middle, so they're safe.
And I have had numerous requests for those to stay.
Good. Yeah, I would be one of those requests as well. That's part of a, the occasional sunken log is part of a normal ecosystem, but completely swamped, that's not.
I don't think we'll ever have trouble with logs floating in the lake.
Yeah, I don't think that's on our huge list of concerns.
All right.
Moving along here. Okay. So then anything community going to finance. So we had a great finance meeting with Kim came through with a lot of good documents. We got for me, I was especially excited because I got we got the finance budget, the general the budget documents by fund for through with estimates through 2024. So we, in terms of the overall status of the books, Kim stated that it was pretty well done. She just had a few leftovers, cleanup of mostly like payroll, a payroll. There's a status on confusion on someone's payroll, but they're trying to get that cleared up. And so anyway, everything is up to date. We're still waiting to see if we can waive the audit or if we have to have the audit. So that is still the request is out there, and it has not been approved or disapproved yet. So still waiting on that. So I asked her if there's anything that the state or city or county could take away from the village in terms of finances when they're trying to balance their budget now. And she felt that there were a few things that could happen, but nothing that would be significant to the bottom line at this time.
Yeah, my impression was that we were looking about as good as we could be for the time being.
Yes. She felt that the good news and the bad news is because we're income tax based, we have so few businesses, and and the school is, since the school is still paying people, Hawthorne School, we're still, that should not impact the income tax. The income tax shouldn't be impacted as much as it would be for like the city of Columbus or whatever. It's still going to be impacted, of course, but we don't know how much at this point. She said that we are, in terms of tax collection right now, we're 35,000 lower than we were at this time last year. But of course, if you have to pay taxes, most people are waiting because it's been, pushed back the date. So we're hoping that mostly it's just being delayed. Let's see. We talked about the Westerville schools for a minute. Of course, nothing from the schools. As far as she feels that we will benefit from the income tax revenue from the construction crews that are working on the schools. But really, it'll be 2023 before we see income tax from the school employees at the new school, assuming things are on track. Let's see. We will get legislation for the tax budget, which is due in July. So that'll come in on the legislation for the 15th. oh, she mentioned the appropriations, which is, she got together for Monday's meeting. We just talked about that. We talked about the village equipment replacement schedule, and there is nothing on there that's been added. And there's no large items that are coming up. Let's see. I'm just checking my notes here. Talked about specific items. Oh, she was going to see about getting the golf cart listed in Gov Deals because it has to be sold through that method. It can't be sold to like a resident.
Jean actually sent me, Jean, do you want to chime in on that? You just sent me an email in regards to that, as long as it's under $1,000.
Oh, it can be.
We might have lost him for a minute.
There we go. Under
There we
Ohio statutes, the disposal of surplus property, if it's under 1,000, estimated under 1,000, the mayor has the authority to negotiate a disposition of it. If it's over 1,000, it has to go through actually an auction procedure on those. Usually we put it on like Gov Deals, do the internet auction. This probably isn't over 1,000. That would be my.
No, it was 5,000 brand new when it ran.
Yeah,
And at this point, it doesn't
I
move.
can't imagine anybody coming close to 1,000 for that thing.
right.
I mean, we might want to be paying people to take it away from us.
Maybe.
Well, right now it's a lawn ornament.
Apparently there are people who, I mean, didn't at that finance meeting, someone say there are people who are interested in asking about it or willing to buy it?
There's people that are interested in taking it off our hands. I'm not sure that there's anybody interested in buying it. So honestly, I think the number one thing I need to do is find out what the actual value, because I don't want to get involved in that because there's several people that want it. Finding what the actual value of a lawn ornament is, and then kind of going from there. So, it's very possible it can be fixed. So maybe it is worth something. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it. I'm not a mechanic and not going to claim to be. So maybe it's a couple $100 fix and it's worth a couple $100. I don't know that it is. I have no idea.
Jeff Rosinger.
Okay.
If you have people expressing an interest, I would, it sounds like you are empowered as mayor to say, you're interested, huh? Would you be willing to give any money for it? And if someone says, yeah, I'd give you $200 for it, say, great, and have them take it away and be done with it.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think we need to hold out to get every last penny out of it. I think if someone makes an offer that's got three things, might be worth it.
Exactly.
Pretty
I'm
good
with you.
that is.
But yeah, he had actually emailed me on that. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page. So there you go.
Okay. All right. On the, she had stated that, we had the discussion about the sewer project and the OPW. See, if it's still not going to be activated, she does have the money, and she did have the money allocated for it. Right now, if we didn't use the money, she gets about $10,000 interest over a course of a year. But $10,000 anyway. So we have the option, if the OPWC does not come in like it was supposed to, or if it's still suspended, that we could opt to just do the work because we do have the funds for it. So that's out there. I asked her about the rainy day fund, and she said basically, of course, we're a small village, but she said basically the way she does it is 2 months of invoicing. So 2 months of expenses is what she holds back in as far as funding goes, and we'll look fine in terms of that. She does have money in the budget or in 2020 it's $250,000 for the Wildwood project, and in 2021 $225,000 for the East Shore project, So there's money that's been, she just wanted to point out that there's money out there that's been budgeted. Let's see, and her projections at this time in terms of actually getting TIF money that is not already, that goes beyond the $4 million that we owe. Her estimate right now is 2026. I think that was the highlights. Did Mark or David, do you have any other?
Can't say that I do.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. We seem to be in good financial shape. Some of the major projects that I was worried about, are we going to be able to do them? We actually do have the money there. In particular, that sewer project that they pulled the rug under from under our with the loan. Even without it, we can still afford to do it. We have that money banked. Things are pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said before, it seems like we are on as good a footing as we can be. So yeah, I have nothing else to add.
Right. Yeah, I think
Either
that's,
the facilities there on finance.
Whoa, don't go there yet.
Okay, I didn't know if we were moving off of finance.
10 seconds. Okay, so you guys brought it up, so I'm going to ask. I did reach out to Ben a couple days ago. I mean, we all know the same answer still. For the Round 34 project, the village will not receive a project agreement in July, which we know, but we can, at our own risk, do the project and seek reimbursement from OPWC at a later date if it does become available. So that is still on the table. I don't know if anybody wants to make the decision now. Again, we are already past where we were going to put the bid out to do it. Does anybody want us to move forward and get the bid out there to find out how much the rest of that is actually going to cost us, and then make the final determination if we want to write a check for it and hope for the best, or sit tight and wait? This is for the rest of the storm sewer, or I'm sorry, the rest of the sanitary sewer through the rest of the village.
Yeah, let's get it fixed. It would be my vote.
Okay.
If we have to spend our money,
needs
we have to
fixed.
spend our money. Let's get it fixed.
I'm in
Diane?
agreement.
I heard Brian. Diane?
I agree.
Tony?
I disagree, but I don't.
It's the sanitary sewer,
I know what it is.
and we have the money.
Well, we also got a lot of, well, all right.
But it can't be fixed on anything. The sanitary sewer can't. Here's the only other thing to remind everybody. We can't take the sanitary sewer and buy a building, or we can't use that money towards the lake. We do have to use it for sewers. So I'm going to reach out to Mike while you guys go on to the next conversation.
Okay.
I was going to ask about the facilities. I don't know.
I know. Yeah. We all have to talk about that.
Is
Well,
that,
it's
the-
on the list here. We can talk about it. So,
And the facilities has also been planned into the budget and the budget forecast.
well,
At
it's not
1.3
that.
million.
What I'm talking about is we put out a request for qualifications from engineering companies, and we need to get back with them.
Correct.
right.
I know one of the companies, or person involved in one of the companies, and they've been asking me, what are you guys going to do? What are you doing? You ought to let us know, stop keeping us hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to send out responses to everyone. And basically last month, it's all understandable. We're all under COVID. In order to move to the next step, two things have to happen. One, I'd like to see if anyone has any edits for that review sheet from last month that we handed out as part of that packet. And the second item is, of course, if we want to go ahead and I would assume interviews are necessary. They're usually done for the firm so that you can do your final ratings and decide, who's the right fit. Obviously, under the COVID situation, interviews are probably not recommended unless you want to do a Zoom one. But I'm not sure everyone feels about doing a Zoom one, and it could be a little flaky, as we all know. With that said, there's nothing wrong with delaying until June-ish, when we want to start getting public meetings back, in the round anyways, and then we could have, at least a subcommittee again, minimally do an interview process. Everyone can zoom in on the rest.
Have we ever determined what qualifications we're looking for?
That's what we need feedback on from the final standpoint. There's a basic rating sheet, and then I was obviously hoping to go ahead and get edits, changes, suggested changes for the sheet, and we can put together a full review sheet for everyone to rate them on.
Yeah, there was a,
Okay.
when the bid went out, there was the description of what was necessary, gave the description of what we were looking for from the architect, what qualifications we felt were critical for the architect. So that's in the original request document. Tony.
All right.
So I had this, Diane, I just kind of wanted to ask you, and now that we're all on here, and yes, this is so much easier when we're in person. Eric already knows, because I had this conversation with Eric, that I am so confused as to why, like, I'm not confused. We did this. Like, we've already done this. We've already didn't work out at all. Now we're doing it again. So.
Well, the thing is sorry. Well, this is a legal mumbo jumbo, but in my opinion, we didn't have to do it again, but that's just me. But anyway, I think the whole thing can be shortened or abbreviated.
Right.
This part is really just, this part didn't take us that long the last time. It was pretty easy, but we did decide to interview. But there was, for example, one firm we didn't even interview because after we did the check sheet, they didn't fit. So we didn't even bother interviewing them. So I don't know about I haven't looked at any of these. I just looked at the names of the companies. They're all different. But, as you know, Tiffany, in our document, we up front said, and by the way, this building is not going to exceed 1.3 million. So if that's not what you're interested in, then don't.
And we saw how that worked out. Yeah. And we saw how that worked out the last time. I guess that's where my concern is. I feel like we got to a certain stage. Obviously we learned a lot because, if we end up doing the interviewing process, it's not going to go like the last one did and not know what to ask the questions. I think that's the first question. Do you really think you can do it for this? Because if you can't, there's the door. I really just said that.
And I think we can definitely, we want to move this along. We can definitely do it on Zoom. I don't think there's any problem with doing it on Zoom. I don't need people to bring their dog and pony show.
I guess I agree with you. I think that was half of the problem. I mean, at this point, we've done this. We've already ranked them. We've already, I understand if it's the process, great, we'll rank them or whatever, but my concern is doing this the exact same. And I understand there's process to this, but I feel like we got to the place what we're looking for. So I don't really, after going through this whole process, so I'm not really sure exactly why we're starting back at another $20,000 when I feel like we're at least at C. We know what we can't afford. We know what we don't want. Or why are we not going back to Moody Nolan and saying, okay, and I'm not saying that there's not an additional fee for this, but going back to them and saying, okay, this is where we ended up. What can you do with this design? And maybe I don't know exactly what I'm asking at this point, and I feel like, Diane, you kind of understand where I'm going with this, but I'm not sure why we're going to pay Moody Nolan B, I'm calling him B, another company just like Moody Nolan, to do the exact same thing that we just did that didn't work out. So I feel like we're going in the circle again like we are with the lakes. Do you agree, or am I being crazy?
No, I think that there's actually, again, this is a matter of form, in my opinion, because we have the list of architects and we don't even, there was one that we didn't go with, Mullen Worthman.
Yeah.
And we, Beth and I especially both liked them. It's just that, their bid was twice as much as Moody Nolan's just to do the architectural design. That's why we didn't do it. But we both feel like they're more our speed in terms of, just being two guys. They would be more amenable to be doing this type of building. And if we since they were already since we already vetted them, they're already out there, why couldn't we just tap them to say, here's our basic, here's what we came up with, give your opinion certainly, but, let's use you to do the design, just to get the, because you want to get the working documents out, you got to get the building documents out there, right? You got to get the working documents.
Well,
Man,
that's why I'm not in favor of any of the companies that turned in their qualifications, because what we need to do is find an architect. And I talked with the one, I forget what the name of the company is. She's an engineer. It's a friend of mine's girlfriend. She's an engineer. And this company doesn't have architects.
well,
She-
then they're
Hold on a
eliminated.
second. She's
They're
an
eliminated.
engineer that's working with another company that's working with another engineer. It's just a bunch of layers of people collecting money for something that all we need is an architect to put together blueprints. We should be going after architects.
You mean
Like we did in the first place. These companies
going
are
through
not
it again?
architect companies.
Well, I thought these guys were architects, aren't we?
No, they're not. At least the one that I talked to is that I said, would
Alright.
you guys have an architect on staff? No, we reach out to other architects. And this
Okay,
girl's
so-
an engineer that's
two-
not
two
with the
things.
company. She just working with this company.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, it sounds like they want to do a design build rather than a design.
well, she said, why isn't there a budget number in there? We put out this qualification, there's not even a budget number in it.
So two
I think
things.
we've
I need to start looking for architects. I'm working on a house right now with a big addition remodel. There's a lot of different projects I'm working on with architects, and we need to start reaching out to the right people instead of going about it the way we are.
So two things. One, and I'll let Gene jump in on this. We have a certain process we have to follow from state law. That's just it, period. Okay. Second thing is, these are the 4 that submitted. If you do not like any of them right off the top, we have to cancel the whole thing and put it back out again. And we can change around, obviously, parts of the RFQ to better fit what you think would attract people. But I can tell you that, just straight up, I realize there some, a few of you would like to spend a specific dollar amount. And I can tell you, and I don't know what everyone's opinion, quite frankly, is on this, but part of the architect's job when they come on board is they have to, again, go through their process to meet with council, to meet with staff, and then hear what the design parameters are, which includes the budget, and then bring something forward that then they also have to provide the building plans for. Some of this work was done previously, okay? But it is preliminary work. It's not the actual final building work, site engineering, all the stuff that goes into it, which is the purpose of this process right now, actually building a building.
Gene, can you maybe better explain to me why we did this the first time and we're doing the exact same thing again the second time, and why we're I guess I'm still, knowing that we spent, and Diane, I don't know what it was, $15,000, $20,000 to do. Why can't we pick up where we are?
Yeah, and I just forwarded to everybody
Okay.
the ACEC compliance guide. The answer to your question, Tiffany, is when the first group went out, we specifically made the judgment call not to follow the state law about hiring professional design services. Is that qualification-based process we have to use under section 15369 of the revised code. So because we didn't do it the first time, we have to do it. And that was because we really wanted preliminary services. Now, when we're actually hiring the real architect, we need to go through the process. The sheet that Eric has developed is based on, I think, a draft or a form in this document. So it's in an appendix, et cetera. But that's what we're doing and why we have to go through it at this.
No, I just feel like it's the exact same thing that we did the first time. So I'm just trying to figure out how that's different than what we're doing now. And obviously when you start talking about $15,000 and $20,000, and I know where we ended up was back at square one because everybody wanted to build us a $2.7 million building. And to go back to like Eric's, that's what we have. You know, I think Diane and Mark were in that same meeting with Kim. When you look at our budget, we don't even have the 2 month, quote me if I'm wrong on this, Diane, but in like 2024, after the building's built, we don't even have the 2 months reserve, or we're pushing the 2 month reserve.
No, she wouldn't do it if it was.
It's really close. It's like 245,000.
Right, it's pushing it.
So to go above 1.3 is going to put us is going to be, okay, we're at that point, I think you're going to have to decide between the lake and a building. If you go over the 1.3, and maybe I'm overstepping there, but financially, I think it boils back down to, you can't go much higher than that without eliminating something.
And I think, and it may be that a discussion we need to have a heart-to-heart discussion with the administration ourselves, and is there an alternative if it would postponement till, I think it's, we've gone round and round with this, but something's got to give. And if it's just not practical to build the building for 1.3, because it's just not gonna, we just can't get anything near what we want for that, then we have to have a heart-to-heart about what do we do? What do we do? Because the building that we're in is, it needs work. So, do you move the administration out, for example, and rent for a couple of years while you're accumulating more money in that fund? And you see what the income tax is going to look like from an additional MI section. But I think, and if there's maybe an alternative would be more budget conscious, maybe renting space for the administration or whatever, and then doing some remodeling of the original community building for the police. Maybe that is an alternative that gets us through the next 2, 3, 4 years until we've accumulated more and have a sounder financial footing to spend the additional money to build something that we really want. I don't know, maybe that's a discussion that needs to be had, but I think it's really unacceptable to continue to limp along in this community building for another 2, 3, 4 years. It just,
You know what, guys, the real heart-to-heart we have to have is what type of facility we want to have, because the plan that Beth put together last, in my opinion, was the best plan so far. But I also believe that we didn't utilize all of the space that we already have. I brought this up before, I'm bringing it up again, that there was no plan to use the garage for the EMS in Beth's plan. The plan for the basement, there was barely any use of the basement in Beth's plan.
absolutely.
Can I finish, please?
Yes.
We need to take a hard look at how big of a facility we want to have and what we're going to do with the existing facility. That's what I'd like to see the next step is.
Well, I don't know what to say about that, since I already went through that exercise, and with a subcommittee and a very great group of 12 people from the community. Maybe someone else wants to do that again, but it's not gonna be me. I'm not doing it again.
What we need to
Diane,
do is get an architect to, God, this is.
The only thing that I would say is, and I'm not in complete disagreement with you, because I mean, at this point, wants and needs are still an issue. I think we all want something nice, big, open community room and, all these different things. But I think if you went to the residents and said it's going to be X amount of dollars, there, again, we know how that goes. Personally, I would like to see phase 1. And then, because we don't know what's going on with the EMS, we don't know all of that. And I'm talking about Beth's plan. I would like to see the addition for the police department. And I understand that does not have a whole plan. And I'm not saying we couldn't put together a plan for this, but by doing that, you would be able to move around some of mayor's court, some of the fiscal officer, get the code enforcement officer their own office by move the police department out. You have all of the police department room. So we would be able to remove everybody from the upstairs except for the the person that answers the door and the phone. You would be able to give everybody else their own space. That would at least help some of the things. I mean, to me, the police department doing that one little phase on the side, like she had designed, and then waiting a couple years to do the rest of it, see how EMS plays out, see how all that other stuff plays out, and then do the rest of the stuff on the other side. So I would like to see something move forward. I'm not saying tomorrow, but to me, I feel like we should just be doing the addition for the police department on the side. That's my 2 cents.
So
Tony, you can yell at me later.
I was obviously there for finance this week, and I kind of looked at the report differently. It to me was far rosier than I thought. The money, part of that, us only having $250,000 cash on hand sitting in accounts projected at the end of 2024, included the $1.3 million for a community center overhaul. And we were still there. And I appreciate a good conservative estimate on revenue. From what I heard, and Diane, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or Tiffany, she was calculating a 1% increase in income tax over the next 4 years per year over what it had been, which to me, I don't know, maybe with what we're going through, the world economy is going to collapse, and maybe that's actually rosy and everyone's going to be going less, but I would like to move forward on this project. When it comes to things like, I agree with Tony, the actual plans, which are not the final plans, we're not voting to approve the final plans by moving forward on this. And I'm sure there's going to be a time where we could address, okay, this is what we want, but we need to add, a 10-foot extension on the, what would it be, south and west side of that community room to make that central space bigger and more usable. Then we can put that in, but we should get moving on this.
I agree we should get moving on it. Who's going to be the one to get moving on it?
Well, I think that I didn't take a look at the people who submitted anything this time, but we have a sketch of what we want to do. It needs to be translated properly into the engineering documents, and so to me, if this has to go out to bid one more time, specifically with that police, with the extension and saying this is our rough, and this is what we want you to work with, and this is what the budget is, and put it out to bid again. But I will add, we could specifically make sure that if you want Muni Nolan, I'm not sure I do, but Mullen Worthman definitely. And then there's another company that we found that we could send it to specifically, who did the Clinton Township Fire Department, who seems to be really good at finding ways to make an affordable building, make sure they get it, so that and those are architects, and if we're really specific about that, then we can choose from people who know people are looking at it, and we can then move forward. I think the problem is that, as Mr. Holland says, the problem is that we have to do it in the official way, bidding on this architect. But we know who we want to send it to, make sure that they are at least going to supply us with, if, and anyone else that comes up, but it is very specific. And then there's no question that we are absolutely not starting from scratch. This is our sketch of an idea of what we want, you know, fill it in, make it right, tell us if we, yeah, after doing all of the surveying, if the topography isn't quite right for this, but maybe that, you know, that's part of what the negotiation is for the final look of the thing. But I think if we were very specific, we could put the pedal to the metal and move on this. But there may be one of the people who, not the one Tony was talking about, obviously they're not an architect, but maybe the other, there's 4, maybe the other 3 are actually architects. I don't know. Maybe they're worth looking at. But again, we're giving them the design we want. Here's what we want you to design around. Here's our sketch. And we want to move forward.
Are you talking about that?
That's what Tiffany and, yes, Tiffany and I were talking about. Best sketch.
Well, this is the problem, is that that plan doesn't include any increasing of the community room size. You know, so why are we starting with that plan?
Because that's what we can afford.
Because what?
Because that's what we can afford.
Oh my God.
So if I may, numbers are obviously going to change between even when you did your preliminary stuff and now. So going through the process, regardless of who you select, these ideas can be merged. You're obviously going to relook at it. You can look at it in phases. You can direct the architect to do a number of things, you know, and get the architect's budget before even going out to bid. So, you know, I think the key item here is process. You don't like any of the 4, or you would like to see some more, we would have to cancel it. We'd have to send it out. And then, you know, we can obviously submit several, you know, of your preferred architects, people that you would like to bid, encourage them to bid. At the end of the day, we can't make them put in a submission. So they chose not to submit this last time, and it's not because they didn't necessarily know. So, but we'll send it to them direct. So I think that's the starting point.
Okay, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm confused here, but we talk about process, and we have these 4 submissions from people that we intend to interview or not. What are we expecting that we are hiring these people to produce? What is the work product we are expecting out of these people?
Something in budget.
The work
Say it
product
again?
is all of the work product is the design and all the engineering documents. And then
Okay. Yep. No, that's good. So I can take it from there then. So we are looking to hire someone who will do the engineering and architectural design work that then we can put out to bid for construction.
right.
Okay.
Construction bid.
So then, hold on, Diane, I'm not done yet. Thank you. Then from a process perspective, I think it would behoove us to continue our process with the 4 that we have. You know, we should all dedicate some time to reviewing what they've given us, decide if and who among those that we want to discuss further with, and then make a choice, one of these 4 or not one of these 4, right? And to those design elements that we think need to be updated, that can be worked through in the process. And in the end, what they give us, right, they give us. I don't know that we can, you know, we can sit here and argue about, you know, what we can afford or can't afford. And in the end, will be able to direct their design towards what we can afford.
I'm going to say I agree with Brian. I don't want to go backwards again. And we have 4 sitting in front of us. I think we at least need to give it our all to try to pick one of those 4. And if we can't, then go back and do it again. But I will agree with Brian on this one. I would like to try to find one of the 4 that fits our, you know, suits what we're looking for.
That
So to that
sounds
end,
like
we're
a
gonna
fair enough compromise.
And yes, I mean, I'm not going to disagree, Diane. I wish we would have sent it to a couple of those because I would agree with you. I think there was a couple that were really good options, and I'm going to say this right now. Don't go with price. we went with price and the one that we thought would be the best. And of course, they came back with exactly what we should have known because they were amazing.
Well, yeah, I think this time with the, if we're willing to say, here's our sketch, build it out, rather than letting them use their imagination to come up with
Right.
something totally different, which is starting from scratch. And that just wastes a lot of time.
Right.
Okay, from a selection standpoint, then moving forward with the process of the 4 you have, there is, of course, the sample rating sheet included again in the document Gene forwarded, same one I forwarded to you a month plus ago. If there are any changes to this, suggestions, otherwise, please send me emails. I will create the document that needs all of that, and then we can utilize that for your rating process.
With those 4 bids, and I know you emailed them to us, is there a way village admin could print those off? That's a lot of pages that I don't necessarily want to print on my home printer.
Yes,
but
we
I
can.
just
Yes.
am much better with hard copy when I'm reviewing things and can make notes than scrolling through a screen.
Understandable. Whoever would like a hard copy, please just email me and we will get you a hard copy.
Safety. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Safety is, stable and status quo. We're just waiting we're still in a holding pattern, waiting to hear back from Columbus regarding fire, regarding that process. I am starting to get a little antsy. We probably, need to let the people know that we have entered into something of a negotiation. So I'll probably write something to go in this month's newsletter for that.
That'd be great. And just, yeah, I've not heard anything, just for the
Yeah,
record.
no, I'd assume that.
Yeah, no, you'll be the first to know. I just said it on here so everybody knew. You might not be the first to know. Gene and I will be, and then the rest of you.
Yeah, you'll probably get
Got
the
back to
copy
me.
on the email.
Yeah, they got back to me with some oral facts and figures, and I'll be getting with Brian. I don't buy all their metrics for,
Okay.
how they're coming up with their number. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. So, and I did notice, what is the police policy for the police officers for wearing masks? I noticed one of the officers was visiting one of my neighbors, but was not wearing a mask.
I don't know if they have policies, but I don't believe police are one that has to wear them. That would be my guess. I might have it, so hold that thought. Because yes, I don't believe that they are wearing them. And to be honest with you, unless EMS is out, I haven't seen, they aren't wearing them around all the time either. Just when they're on, let's see.
Well, the police officer visiting a neighbor would be on.
Yeah, let me see.
I'm surprised. I mean, enough officers have gotten the virus that, I mean, they're not exempt from getting it or passing it to somebody else.
You guys keep going. I'm looking because
All right.
I do have it.
That was the only question I had for safety.
Yeah, and we did ask about that because we did have a safety committee meeting in the month of April. I'll admit Chief said that they had the PPE they needed and direction on policy on usage, but as to the detail, I did not record what those details were. So I can send a message to Chief Delp asking for those details if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like I have an email from him too.
Yeah, I would have been concerned if they were coming to visit me. I would, I just think it's, so, and then I guess the mayor's court is, and that's more administration, but the mayor's court is definitely starting
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Yes.
So,
And we have, we actually met with Yaz and, which is a representative from Jean's, firm. And we kind of put together a plan. We're going to be sending out a letter to everybody that's coming to Mayor's Court requesting that they wear a mask. We can't, we're not forcing, but we are also planning on trying to have some masks available for them when they do show up. We plan on only allowing 6 people in the community building at a time. The other ones, we're going to ask them to wait in the car. Again, we encourage people to pay their bill, their fines online, but I will tell you, a lot of them just don't want their points, and that's why they want to come. That's what I've learned over the last couple weeks. So yes, we did sit down. We will have a letter go out. Yaz is going to approve it before we send it. But our goal is no more than 6. We are trying to change out my door. That way Leah can collect money in there, and she can be more behind like a plexiglass type thing in my office. So, because asking them to go downstairs is not that easy. And again, we can't force people to wear masks. And so it's something that we're doing. We're going to try to put some plexiglass in my office to where she can stand behind the plexiglass and take payments and do that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so letters going out June 3rd. And then just as an FYI to you, you guys can do what you want to do, but depending on what happens over the next couple of weeks, I do hope that in June we will be able to conduct our meetings in the community building. But anybody that doesn't want to, we still have the ability to Zoom them in, which is what we did with Yaz. So we were there, but we were able to Zoom Yaz in, and we can still do that with the general public. But it's just, to me, this is just difficult to do. But I think when you start trying to do, make details about a community building and all of that kind of stuff, it's difficult to do it this way. So I'm hoping in June. I don't know if anybody has any issues with that. But again, I think if we're able to hold Mayor's Court in there, I feel like 10 of us, 8 of us, 6 of us, whatever, can be in a room and with masks, with, whatever makes everybody feel comfortable. So, and again, if you don't feel comfortable or, whatever, we can Zoom you in. That's the goal. So we'll see.
okay. Legislation.
All right. The most important thing I believe was already stolen from me earlier. We are going to be having a item read on Monday night that we are going to need to pass and waive readings on. All it is saying, hey, Franklin County, we plan to put a levy on. Can you certify that if we put a levy on, it will be this X amount of dollars? It's not at all even putting the levy on. It's the preliminary sort of research into what the levy is going to generate for us. As I've said before, I have no problem waiving readings. I'm fine with that in general, which I know is an unpopular opinion, but I think we should just get things done. So apart from that, I don't think I think we have some third readings coming up. I'd have to check my packet. I know we have third readings coming up on stuff that hasn't been argued or contested as till now. Everyone was, I can't remember what meeting we did the sidewalk. Was that legislative? We talked about the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay, that I guess would be the other big thing, of course, for anyone who wasn't there that night. We really took a major hatchet / changed the original idea to where we are much more now focused on residents have the primary duty to fix it, and the village will work as a backstop as needed. And then we're waiting for that to get written up and see what it looks like to discuss that and possibly move forward. And that's about what I had for legislation.
I'm going to have one that's going to come up probably on the 18th, which is just the codified ordinances. I have a couple tweaks that I have to do to they sent me like a guideline for what we need to have in there. So Jean, we may even forward that to you once we get it ready. So, but it's to accept the changes and and hopefully we did just get the 4 books. I'm not sure if we talked about that before. We got the 4 books. I put them together. Chief did review them to make sure that they were what he was expecting, and they are. So expect that coming up for legislation here as soon as hoping by the 18th, but it's going to take me a little bit of time, and we just got it.
It's about that time of year.
Yes. So,
Okay, all right. So on the on the P and Z, we're having, as Mark mentioned, the final reading on that one. So that's all this in terms of the adding the additional people and all that. So that legislation will be finished if it passes or whatever. Then we talked about the sidewalk curb gutter, and so I guess we're waiting for another version of that.
Correct. That'll be it. Next legislation will be the next draft.
Okay.
are we
Anything else?
gonna have the next legislation? I don't know if I have it confirmed or not on the 18th before the second council meeting, or do you guys not want to do it then since it's kind of close? I don't know. Is it already scheduled or is it not already scheduled? I can't remember if Becky sent it out, if we
It is
told her to
not
send one
already
out or not.
scheduled.
What's that?
It is currently not scheduled.
Do you want it? Or do you want to wait until, and you don't have to tell me right now. I guess maybe I'm telling you, we don't have it scheduled. If you want it scheduled, let me know. That's a better way to do it.
I don't mind drop-ins like a 6:30, like just drop in to check things
Okay.
just to make sure. I mean, I don't want to force my committee to have to show up half an hour early to a meeting that they're gonna then have
We
to
can-
stay for another hour and a half, but
We can always post it, and if you decide to cancel it, it's easier to cancel than to add it.
there you go. Sounds great.
Okay,
Post
I'll
it.
do that.
Okay. Anything else on P and Z?
Well, we can talk, when are we going to talk about permitting and the backlog and?
Oh, yeah. Why don't we get through the rest of this and then.
We can do that under admin.
Okay,
All right, which is next? Admin.
We'll see.
So
Okay.
we talked about the codification, legislation,
American Legal Association.
website, ballot issue. So anything new in administration?
Oh, wow, man, I'm on it. I got all that done.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. As everybody's aware, Kelvin has decided to leave, and it was on good terms, no issues, no problems, anything like that. I always like to point that out. That being said, we have an abundance, and it's kind of all being thrown on Eric's lap. So I kind of want to talk to you guys to find out what we do. Right now we're asking people to give us 30 days, which is completely acceptable for our conditions. But I'm going to tell you, it has not gone well for me for the last 2 people I've told that to. We're in the middle of, we're starting, it's May. This is contract season. Contractors are wanting to get it done. And I have one that's wanting to start, they just sent in their application and the contractor wants to start in 2 weeks. I know that's not our problem, but they're coming more and more like that. There are 3 that came in yesterday. Eric, I don't know if you were there yesterday. There was already 2 on the desk. I know you took 5 before that.
Yep,
I mean, I would
5,
say
7.
there's probably anywhere from 10 to 12, without exaggerating, in the pending
Yeah.
right now, at
So,
least.
so if I may, I'll have all those 7 out between, I'm going to review and I'll have them out between Monday and Tuesday. If they're, if they're straightforward ones, right now I've got the first 5. Those will be done. I've reviewed all of those. I'm just got to print out the paperwork for them, but they'll all be out on Monday. And then the
Okay.
next 2 I'll have done in the next couple of days. as long as there's no issues and there's just simple questions to clarify, there's no problems. There's, obviously when they do something that, they show on the plan that's not allowed, that there's a discussion, they have to readjust it and resubmit it. But as of right now, those have been straightforward. Generally speaking, we say 30 days, just like any other department, just as a matter of course, so that we can set expectations early on. The reality is that most of these can be gotten out in, a week, maybe 2 weeks tops, based on what's happening. But that just makes it better. It's worse to say, I'll get it out in a week and then something comes up and
Right.
it's taken 2 weeks, right? So we set expectations low and we get it out sooner, everyone's happy. So that's where we're at. It shouldn't be an issue. We'll get everything out that I've got on my desk here this week, probably.
Okay, and then my next point to this is, I'm just gonna start from where we are today. Where we are today is I have pictures of places that have been emailed to me over the last 2 to 3 weeks that have not been addressed. I have high grass that I have complaints. I have at least 6 addresses from not just our 1 or 2 people that typically send them. While I was sitting here, I've gotten 2 high grass complaints. I have falling fences. I have quite a few complaints. I do not, obviously, I don't know if you guys are all wanting me to push this on Eric at this point. I don't have, or if anybody wants to try to step in and get any of these letters out, if anybody wants to do anything, we will start looking into a code enforcement. We did do the advertisement for the position. That has gone out and we have a lot of people that are interested. I have only seen one of the applicants because they come through Indeed. So right now they're just kind of being vetted through because apparently there's a lot. And also we are looking for, if everybody recalls, when we did the position with Kim and Leah and Becky, there was an additional part-time person to fill the last little void instead of hiring the full-time person. That is being advertised as well. And long story short, again, we have a large stack of applicants for that position as well. So we don't have a shortage of people that are interested in, but I don't have anybody. We are in prime high grass season. Anybody have any ideas, options, recommendations?
Well, I would recommend that we stop working on all these permit applications, seeing that none of these permits are required through our code for decks, patios, driveways. And, if you guys want to stop listening to me complain about this, then maybe you ought to take the time to look into our codes and show me where it says you need a permit for a deck or a patio or a driveway. I've sent out the code that 1477, use of right-of-ways. This is not the code that requires people to get a permit for a driveway. Read the purpose of 1477. You will see that it is just to get permission to use the right-of-way. Every person that has a house in the village has been granted the use of the right-of-way when they built the house. So, part of our problem is that we're creating work that isn't necessary. I've asked this over and over again for Eric to show me where it says you need a permit for a deck or for a patio. I've yet to see anything. And the thing that he's presented when it comes to driveways isn't the code. The word driveway isn't mentioned once in 1477. The purpose of it is for communications, utilities, to use the right of way. So, I'm getting tired of bringing this up over and over again and no one else taking the time to look into our codes. I would like to ask the council members that have taken an oath to uphold the laws to take a look at our code and tell me where it says that these things are required. Because right now we've been charging people fees that we should have never done. So
Do you mind sending me that, Tony, the 1470? I don't know exactly where I'd find that. I'm happy to have a look at it.
Ordinances. If you go on the website, look at our ordinances, and it's code 1477, use of right of ways. It's not driveways. And if you look at our fee schedule, We don't have a use of right-of-way permit fee. We've got a driveway permit fee, but we don't have any code that says you need a permit to redo your driveway. It's this extremely unprofessional way this village operates that I've been fighting against for 12 years now. And it's not getting any better, and it won't get any better until the members of council start to look into these things. You know, it goes back to chickens. I was complaining about chickens forever. The problem, you know, I want to blame the mayor for that problem. The problem is no one on council ever took the time to look into it and see, to even ask someone if we were allowed to have chickens. You know, and the problem is that council doesn't take the time to look into these things. And I'm tired of being the only one that does, and then have to fight with everybody that doesn't even take the time to look into it. You know, I'm fed up with it.
Well, the only thing that I'll add to it is, you know, the hard part that I have with it is we're doing the zoning permits, and I understand that. We're looking at it on a piece of paper, but it's my understanding, at least for the last several months, going into early summer of last year, that nobody was actually going out and checking the holes that were dug to make sure that it was actually being done to plan. And you have to remember, not everybody hires a contractor. So you may have a homeowner that's drawing these plans and showing where it's going to go, and maybe it's ending up there, maybe it's not. So my issue is my only concern is we're giving these zoning permits, but we're not really following through and making sure that what we're told is being done, because we never go out and look at it. We might do a drive-by or something, but making sure that the holes are deep enough, and I don't even know if that's part of the code, but you get where I'm saying.
That's
Tony.
another thing, that there's no code that says how deep a post hole has to be.
Right.
But yet we go out there and inspect the post hole.
No, we're not. That's my issue with it. Most of the time, somebody's
Or we
not going
tell
out there.
people that's what we're doing. I get that. You know,
Right.
it's just like with patios and decks. There's no description, or driveways. There's no description about what's acceptable, how, you know, like with the driveway, how thick. There's no description at all about decks, patios, sidewalk, or driveways. But yet we're charging people to come out and monitor what? You know, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
And
So,
I'm sick of fighting about it, and we got to do something.
so on the permits that I have in front of me, I have multiple fence and building, which are all required to submit a permit. So at least we can set that to bed. So I'm not wasting our time with the permits that I have in front of me right now. I've got one guy that submitted for, I think, a basement, and that was a recent one from the other day. I just picked up, and I'll have to call him and tell him he doesn't need to submit for me for a basement, because that's an interior item, and he can talk to the building department.
You
in
need
Franklin County
zoning
about that.
approval.
I'm sorry?
If they put together a plan for remodeling their basement, that plan has to come before planning and zoning to get zoning approval, just like the school had to go before planning and zoning to get zoning approval.
For refinishing a basement?
Well, what's code requires them? The only reason they would have to get a permit, it would be a building permit. There isn't
Correct.
a code that requires someone to get a permit to refinish their basement. I mean, a Minerva Park code.
I'm aware of that. It's not a zoning item. Because it's already interior structure. So what I'm saying is this guy got to call back and say, you don't have to submit to me, right?
He
So-
needs to get a permit. He needs to get a building permit.
Correct.
Getting into electrical, plumbing, and
Yes. Yes,
Right.
but I don't need to review that. So.
yes, you do. You
but
have to
for zoning
review
and
all
I still
building
need to do it. I need to
permits.
Say, hey, go see Franklin County. I don't want to get into
The
this.
first process, see, this is Eric, you have no clue how this works. I'm tired of dealing with you.
I'm
The
not a building.
first step in a building permit is to
building
get zoning approval. That's the first step, Eric.
Yeah, I don't need to approve a zoning for a basement.
Yes, you do. You have to, every building permit requires zoning approval. Ask Franklin County.
Yes, they're gonna say they need to review it. I don't need to review that. It's
Yeah,
interior to the house.
oh,
The structure's already been
You
approved.
know, oh, I'm done dealing with you, dude. You don't know. 20
You're right.
years,
You
you
know
still don't
everything.
have it figured out.
Okay, I can get a memo together on the codes that regulate decks, patios, and sidewalk, or I'm sorry, driveway aprons. Is that the
Yes,
concern.
apron is my main issue.
Okay.
Why is it?
And council can change these ordinances if you do not want to regulate them. Tony's correct.
Correct.
If
That's what
if
we're
the rest
looking
of
at.
council says we're out of that business, that's fine. But I'll get you a memo together.
Appreciate
Have
that.
So
Gene, have you taken?
I hate
time
to
look at the
interrupt,
codes to
but
see-
where can I find this? I know that this is not something, that I, admittedly don't have a lot of experience, only being a few months in with, codes and whatnot, but where can I find these things so
You
that I
go
can
online
have a look at it?
on
I
the
mean,
website.
Tony's completely right. We should be, at least familiar with what the codes are if some of them do need changed.
I will send you a link, David. No problem.
Thank you so much, Eric.
You're welcome.
Okay. So anyways, I have a list a mile long
And
of,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I got to run, but I'll be there Monday.
all right, bye.
Hopefully you'll have the information about the codes.
I'll get you a memo, Tony. I don't know if I'll get it done over the weekend, but it'll be in short order.
It's okay. I'm working the next couple nights as well, so I will go through it on my next string of days off. I mean, Tony's right. I would like to know more about it. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about this, and that's a part of it. So thank you for bringing
Hey,
that
you're
up,
the
Tony.
newest one. You gotta pass, buddy.
Fair enough.
Bye, Jean.
Bye-bye.
So we have tons of applicants. We have all of that. I guess my point is I'm going to try to get into Kelvin's, and worst case, we can call KGT to see if there's any way that I can print out the letters or get in there to do any of that kind of stuff. So if anybody has a recommendation or anybody wants to chip in and help do some of these code enforcement letters, let me know.
Well, I'm certainly, as council, I would approve having either overtime for someone like Becky, or I'm okay with her having overtime to do it.
Okay.
If it's a matter of that.
Okay, thank you. I'll work with them because again, that's going to be one of the things that I have no problem doing it as soon as somebody shows me how to find it, because I think the only other thing that, and I could potentially, and so maybe I will have Brian do this. We take the camera out and we actually do use a ruler and take pictures of of the high grass. I wish Jean was still on here. Eric, are you still on here? Okay, so I have
Yes,
a dumb
ma'am.
question. So
Some questions.
being on, obviously, we shouldn't be just walking in the middle of somebody's properties, but doing it at the street is acceptable.
Correct. So here's what I would recommend. Here's how we do this from a code enforcement standpoint. We don't wander up in people's yards. Obviously, there's a certain amount of right of way that wanders up into people's yards, 10 to 15,
Okay.
plenty of room to work. So if you want to just take a picture from the road, you can clearly see where it's higher than 6 inches. When we write a letter, especially when it concerns that we're going to go in and mow, like after we've given them a letter and we show up, the proper procedure should be that you've got a ruler with a clear mark point at 6 inches. You put it to grade. You take a photo of that, and then a picture of the address, and then that way you can say, hey, we've been here. You're over 6 inches as of this date and time, and then that's why we're sending it. That's why the mower showed up, so you have proof of it before and after of what
Okay.
basically what's happened.
I may actually go and try to do some of those today.
Yeah,
And you may find that a lot of these are repeat offenders.
Right.
They are.
I'm sure the neighbor across the street has reported the house that's
If you-
vacant and for
If
sale.
anyone sends me, this is a fairly quick template. If anyone sends me a picture with an address, you can text it to me, you can email it to me. It's my preference. I will be happy to help out and put together letters, and I will get those shipped out with Becky's assistance and the mayor's assistance next few days.
Yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll get the pictures because I already have all the addresses. I mean, I have quite a few.
We can we can send letters based on pictures and eyeball assessments. Where we want to make sure we're exact is when we have a situation where we've actually got to mow their grass, and that's a special visit. So no
Yeah,
worries. We'll do
the
it.
only one that I don't know if it's over 6 inches, and I'm gonna go with it. It probably is it's in the new development. The house honestly looks abandoned.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it is.
We-
I have had more than one complaint on the same house. Actually, I'm at 3 complaints on the same house, all residents
Mhm.
around there. The
Dandelion?
grass is completely brown and
Oh.
has all dandelions. I have the pictures of that one.
Great. the dandelions easily get above 6 inches in a few
It's
days.
completely dead. That's the other part. It looks, I'll send it to you right now just so you can see it.
That's fine. I appreciate it. We'll
have it.
we'll get on it.
So
I think
anyways,
that's what you're talking
so
about.
that was my, so I will get with you guys and let you know how code enforcement position's going and the administrative assistant is going. And then we will work on getting better job descriptions, because obviously I personally have changed a couple job descriptions. But as far as what we're looking for on the administrative assistant, just to tell you really fast, is we really just want them to be able to answer the phone, answer the door, because that has been the busy thing. We have quite a bit of filing that still needs done. There is like, and being able to cross-reference this person to being able to do the mail, go through the mail, log it. That's not something I would throw them into right away, but there are plenty of things that I would love to be able to cross-reference this person to be able to, if Becky was out for a day or two or something along those lines, that she would be able to just jump in and do. A lot of the stuff Becky will be able to do from home as far as the website, newsletters and all of that if she were out for a couple days. But again, when you've got checks in the mail and things like that, we don't just want those sitting there. So, and it's not that we have an issue with her not being there, but vacations, they're going to come maybe over the next, 6 months, 8 months. So just kind of giving you guys a heads up of what we want the administrative assistant to do. It's not going to be a huge, long list of things, but we also may tweak it as time goes on, and we will make that very clear with the applicant. And just to know that there could be additional things that pop up, not just answering the phone, answering the door. And that's it.
Okay. Well, just remember, you do have, you do have Calvin's salary if you don't have Calvin. So budgetarily wise, to allocate those funds to either overtime or bringing
Right.
in someone is, you should have it, it should work out. So.
Perfect. Well, again, if I can also help with doing the letters and doing different things like that, you guys are already paying me, so I'll do it. So I have no issues doing it. I just don't know if it's going to look really great with me being out there measuring people's grass and taking pictures. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's probably not the image that we want to portray.
Well,
I'm not above it.
and if one of the complaints is the one that's across the street from me, I'd be happy to take a picture for you. Send it.
Go ahead. Well, just do it. Just go ahead and take a picture and send it to me, because if it needs addressed, we might as well do them in, every couple weeks.
It has to get really long for me to complain. I can't, I'm a bit more of a live and let live person. So, but anyway, I know they're a repeat offender. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a lawn libertarian myself, as can probably be guessed. But if something is exclusively dandelions and dead in a huge eyesore, yeah, I get it.
I have one that I will guarantee you is every bit of 10 to 12 inches tall.
Yeah, that's a bit much. If it was
Yeah.
native grass plantings, that'd be acceptable. But yeah, the stuff we have by and large at that height is just not.
Right.
It's a prairie reclamation is what they got going on there.
Well, I'm all for appropriate grasses. You can get some good grass types. You can get Indian grass. You can get Kentucky blue. You can get pipe stem, and those can get up to some of that stuff can get up to 4 feet, 6 feet tall. But I don't think that's what we're talking about here.
No, this is just somebody and this is a person that's done it before. So again, I have a whole list. I have a bunch of them. And then I do have some that are not related to grass. Some I'm going to go with home occupants or home businesses. And it's not just people that are working home right now. I've got some for that. Falling fence around, again, Tony, I know you guys are getting ready to take this up in planning and zoning, but a swimming pool and the fences fall. It's just, it's in somebody's yard. So I've got some pictures of that. So I've got a couple different things that we'll have to figure out what we need to do to address those. But these are, a couple of them have been, unfortunately, several weeks. And I just found out that they have not nobody's addressed them. So there you go.
All right. Anything, it is 10:06. Do we have anything else that we haven't touched on?
I think we talked about everything twice.
At least twice.
I'm
Okay.
ready to go to bed for work.
All right. Do we have a motion? Do we move?
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. All right.
Second.
All right.
All right.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great one, everybody.